Here we are, the Racing Pals pre-season. Green flags are out, we're away. Good start for everyone. There's a bit of contact. Everyone seems to get through the first corner cleanly. Small gap as Deep Cut goes wide. Darker seizes the opportunity to go up the inside. Bongus goes across the last bit of the chicane. That opens up the gap for Bartleby, who tries round the outside of the last corner. They're neck and neck as they come across the timing line under BMW bridge. Bartleby is ahead. So then, hello and welcome. Here we are once again for the Racing Pals Assetto Corsa Competizione GT3 season 2021, round 2 at Barcelona for the Spanish GP. The big news across the previous 2 weeks is the implementation of a class system. Due to the way that the race went in the first round, it had been taken the decision that a class system would now be implemented into the racing, both to bring the racing closer together and also to allow 2 championships for both ends of the grid, the Pro Championship and the AM Championship as well. The class deciding was done with the majority of the drivers in the series setting times around the Barcelona track with a set track state, and then the average was taken to split the grid into Pro and AM. One thing that I can absolutely guarantee from how the times went and how everything sort of stood out is that the times were very close up and down the grid in the 2 classes. So with hopes, this should make the racing in both the Pro and the AM class much closer together. For people who are new to the series, the rules and the format is there is a 15-minute qualifying, which then goes on to a 1-hour race, a mandatory pit stop where tyres must be changed. Refueling is allowed but not required. The weather is variable. And the point system as follows is 14 points for first, 11 for second, 9 for third, 7 for fourth, 6 for fifth, 5 for sixth, 4 for seventh, 3 for eighth, 2 for 9th and 1 for 10th, with a ballast system in place as well. As it currently stands, the drivers have been given a ballast and everything is all correct in there. Here is the current championship standings for the Pro class. Pierre Moreno leads, obtaining a 60 kilogram ballast, with Magash following in second place, gaining a 25. Knappen in third, 10 kilograms of ballast, followed by Anderson, Monticelli, Cook, Liggins, Uscheisen, Bartoldu, Cassetta, Shablum, Clark and Osman. In the AM category, we have Hutchings in first at 16 points, Hoover in second at 13, Deep Cuts in third with 10 points, Gottlieb in fourth with 8 points, Treasure in fifth with 7, Trainboy 2005 in sixth with 6, Nolan in seventh with 5th, with Ultranainen, Vangeloou and Winters and Yusuf all tied 8th currently on 0 points. So we're now just coming up, I think, to the midpoint of the free practice session with 10 minutes left. The server is absolutely filling up at this current minute in time. 33 cars have logged in for today's race around Barcelona. A good mix between Pro and AM drivers to very much look out for being the lead of the race, lead of the Pro standings. Sorry, Pierre Moreno, the number 922 Spectre racing car. Currently, this driver having come off from winning the 2 hour of Nürburgring on the pit crew. So very good job to Pierre Moreno there for that victory. However, really many cars up and down the grid are to be watched tonight, as the driving and the times that have been put in by everyone, regardless of the category, have been close with the start of the pack and also with the drivers around them as well. Some very nice packs forming in amongst the overall times. So with hopes, well, we know for a fact that the racing tonight is going to be close. Hopefully, Barcelona being a track that can breed some good battles in the GT cars. So the battles, I think, will be plentiful, and obviously the pit stop that's required will give a lot of variability to the strategy. Some drivers might be choosing to go for a pit stop halfway. Some people might be choosing to go in early and then just keep up the consistent laps over and over and over. Many choices are available to the drivers. I will also be trying my best to read chat during the race. However, I might miss some stuff. Just please be aware that if your message doesn't get read, maybe try and poke me again with it. But with how I normally do things, I should be able to catch as many of them as possible. Here is the current lead of... Ooh, thanks for that, ACC. For that sake, here is the current lead of the AM standings. Mike Hutchings for Tech 1 Racing in the Lexus RCF. A very interesting car, the Lexus. It's been consistent, and that's really where the strength of it has been. I've not seen any of the Lexuses that we've got signed up. I think there's 3-4 of them around there in the series, and they always seem to be quite silent workhorses. They consistently make up ground, but always seem to win more on the longevity instead of battling, which is very interesting. Just means that I don't get to see them very much. Ooh. Home screen's having a little bit of fun there. Second place in the standings, Brad Hoover for the Yukon team. The light blue and gnome Mercedes AMG there. I wonder if I can get a good view of that gnome. No. That's the best we're going to get. Many drivers having come today. Some drivers I also think haven't been in the first round. Which is going to be very interesting to see how the drivers who I've not seen yet will be performing in today's race, with 7 minutes approximately left. Someone goes very much into the wall. Not sure who that was. It was a green Mercedes AMG. We just caught that off the back when I was going to talk about Dave Bartledew there. We're back with Mike Hutchings. Let's sit with him for a lap in this camera review, so we can see. So you can see how the driver is taking the steering angle. You see, going in for a sort of late-ish apex, take as much of the yellow curb as possible. I think that has something to do with with track limits. Sorry. I think if all 4 wheels go over, it gives you a track limits warning. One thing as well to look out for is the track limits. While as a racing driver you want to go as close to them as possible and be able to, you know, run as close to them and as far up the curb as you can. Obviously, more time can be made up with good use of the curbs. You want to make sure that you're not going too far over the curbs to be penalised for it. So we're now with Mike Hutchings. We're going to watch him come down to turn 1. He's taking a good bit of apron there as he clips the apex. Round 2 and 3, you can just see that he is feeling through the corner or the grip. You can see the slight wheel movements as he now comes up towards turn 4 under the Repsol bridge. Turn 4 uphill right hand. There's some time marks already on the track. I find this corner when I'm driving difficult because it always feels like the car wants to slide out under you towards the sand. It's always quite tricky, at least for the way that I set my cars up, to keep the car going through the apex and up as we now run up to turn 7, a corner that we've seen a few drivers have issue with. There's that little dip on the inside before you have to flick the car to the right, which if the car isn't settled for that, you are just going to go round. Also remember, if the audio either of me or the game is too loud or quiet, please poke me in chat and I will address it. I think I've set the audio balancing up right, however sometimes it might knock itself and change around a bit, so if that's the case please just let me know. As we now see Mike Hutchings come through the final chicane, you can see Cameron Winters ahead as well. Yeah, let's see how the Lex does as Cameron Winters dives off to the right hand side to allow Mike Hutchings through. Hutchings currently in 11th. You can already see a bit of a gap forming between the front of the grid of Knapp and Magash Anderson, with Moreno being just ahead of Hutchings. The gap between the two being very close actually, under a tenth. Yeah, under a tenth, about half a tenth between the two drivers. So you can see throughout there are some pro drivers who are within the AM pack. However, single lap pace isn't what matters overall in this kind of motorsport. You have to be able to keep the consistency up. You have to be able to consistently put those laps in over and over and over again. And sometimes it's harder than it sounds. Just continually drive the same line. You know, sometimes you might move the car a centimetre off your line by a little bit, and that can jeopardise the line through the corner. Here is current leader for the times, Brian Knappen. For Xbox natives, the number 40 Aston Martin. Having set a 145.6, let's see if he improves it. He does, going for 145.3. Eat Magash is behind at a 145.7, followed by Richard Anderson at a 145.9. Let's see as Magash comes through the old turn 10, turn 11, turn 12, turn 10. Turn 10 in the real world having been reprofiled recently. Lots of pictures floating around both on the F1 news, also on Twitter and places like that. As we've seen Magash come round the final corner. Number 147 Carlo Racing for Speed Knitters. Was this his outlap or his first lap? That was his outlap. So we're going to ride along board with Magash as he comes for an entire lap. Through turn 1 again, we can see that the drivers are dipping 2, maybe even 4 wheels on the outside apron on the run into turn 1, making the track as wide as possible so they can take more speed through the first corner. Yeah, Moreno also down in 14th. Current championship leader for the pro category. I'm wondering if he's focusing more on the race and on his qualifying time. Not 100% sure. Would definitely be interesting. The previous race, Moreno led quite a commanding victory at the Zandvoort circuit, so with hopes he's... I say with hopes... Oh, sorry about that. With hopes he should keep that up, but I'm sure all the drivers following behind will be hungry to close that gap to him, maybe even overtake and win during the race. This being the second round, a lot more on the line to play for in the championship overall. And you know what they always say, it's not over until it is over. Sorry, Massano was the previous round. Zandvoort's next The next round, which will be on the 14th of February, will be round 3 out of 6. Magash comes through, doesn't set a faster lap time than can happen just yet. Here's Terry Liggins for Finn Racing, one of the other pro cars, number 808. That quite bright green, chrome and purple livery. As the practice session has now ended. "34 cars on the grid for today's race, so there is bound to be a lot of battling occurring tonight. Make sure that you do stick around until after qualifying. That'll be when the green flag will fall and the race will be underway, and all 34 drivers who are currently on the grid will be set out completely against each other. Keep in mind it might be Pro and AM, however they are all on the same track. I'm sure we'll see some battling between the Pro and the AM classes as well. For people who are new to GT World Challenge, the Pro class is the white number, the white background number, and the AM class is the red background number. So just waiting for the final cars to come through, which they have. So now it is time for qualifying. All the cars you can see starting to take to the track. You obviously want to have a gap between yourself and the car ahead, but also enough so you can take full advantage of the slipstream against the car ahead as well. So close enough that you can slipstream, but far enough away so you're not in the first and the second sector where it gets all cornery. Start to have to battle the car ahead instead, which will cost you more time than you gain in the slipstream. So we're currently on with Burning, the number 6 Mercedes AMG, currently on his bonnet. 15-minute qualifying. The drivers have infinite laps. Just a case of setting the best time that they possibly can. LT Burning. You can see he's got the number 431 Lamborghini ahead. As well, it's driven by Alacia. Let's sit on board with a lap with Alacia in the Hurricane GT3. The car that there are, I think, the 4 of them flying around. Again, not a car that I see very often. It seems the Porsche, the Audi and the McLaren being the most popular choices so far. So it'll be interesting to see how the different cars perform against each other. I'm not just talking about those 3, but all the cars performing against each other as the season goes on. Maybe some cars will be better set to other tracks. Some cars might be worse off on some tracks. Let's see how much curb Alacia actually uses as he runs up to the corners. Again, it's a very good skill to have as a racing driver. The ability to use the curb as much as possible. The ability to set your car up as well, so the traction control doesn't throw an absolute hissy fit as you use the curbs. We now switch on to the bonnet view. There's something on the back of that Lexus, and I'm not 100% sure what it says. Maybe we'll see once Alacia gets closer. Only you can prevent punting. Well, yeah, very true. Don't punt the car ahead of you. How's your like? That's number 36 car. As we see Alacia now come up to the final few corners. A right-hander, a chicane, followed by another right-hander. See Alacia finish lap. Wants to see, I think there's a Bentley ahead. No, it's one of the Audis ahead, sorry, going quite wide through the last corner. Some sparks get thrown up by the Lexus RCF. They now run down the start-finish line. Alacia will be on the first row set a lap time, and it is a 1:46.9. Ralph Band coming in. You set a 1:46.8. Moreno come through to set a 1:46.1. February 2005, 1:47.05. Chablon, 1:47.058. As Edward Cassetta comes through to set a 1:45.7. Clearly, time's very much being set and movement going around the grid. Obviously, drivers being able to set their first laps now. There might be, well, there will be hopefully some movement around the place as well as more laps get in. Maybe some drivers haven't set the cars up to full temperature yet. Maybe the tyres aren't there. Maybe the brakes aren't there. Maybe the first actual flying lap's more just a set of safe banker lap before actually fully pushing the car. Now see Vengus McBongus come through the final chicane, through the final corner. Currently this will be, I think, his first flying lap, so we'll see where he comes across the start-finish line. Moves up into second place with 1:45.6. Very good lap there from McBongus. Just behind Knappen and just ahead of Ed Cassetta. The gap between Bingus McBongus and Knappen being only 3 tenths. The gap between Cassetta and McBongus being only a tenth. As Pierre Moreno goes fastest now with a 1:44.9, just breaching the 1:45. Current championship leader for the pro category, with an extra, I think, 60 kilos of ballast on board today as well. An extra challenge to be put on for the current championship leader, as Magash now takes the provisional pole with a 1:44.694, almost a 1:44.7. Ed Cassetta still not managing to get out of the 1:45s yet, putting in a 1:45.093 on his last lap. Now we're with Arnold. Currently P19, I think third place in the AM running as it currently stands. The Trainboy 2005 currently leading ahead of the pro car of Dave Barcelona. The gap between Trainboy and Bartledo only being half a tenth. The gap between Arnold 18th, 17th and 16th being within a tenth. So 3 cars within a tenth of each other. It currently stands as the yellow flag comes down across the track. Seven minutes left in today's qualifying. As you see Arnold come through into sector 3. You already see someone has scattered the track markers all over the circuit there. Now Arnold comes through the final corner and across the line. Does he improve? Yes, he does. Jumps up, I think, into the lead of the AM class with a 146.6. Also jumping 2 pro cars in that lap as well of Osmond and Alacia. Here is the man who is now trying to beat that 146.6 Train Boy 2005. With the meme-covered car, as he did tell me, as he goes over the timing curve, some sparks also flying out there. Not sure if that's going to have very much inhibited his time or even deleted it. And comes through the final corner, taking a lot of curb there. You can already see the markings on the curb. Comes across the line with a 147.7, so doesn't improve yet. He's still got some time to make up between himself and Arnold as Alacia. Sorry, not Alacia. Dave Bartledew jumps up to 14th with a 146.8. Train Boy 2005, almost a full second on his previous lap to make up between himself and Arnold. 4 tenths on his best, so 4 tenths to make up between himself and Arnold. As we are now riding along board with Train Boy 2005, you can see as well, we get an actual good view from the interior camera of the McLaren 720S of the accelerating foot and also the braking foot. Also quite a nice view through the Safecraft head netting there on how the steering wheel is going as well. And through the old turn 10, Carl Cook also having put in a time only up into 23rd. As it currently stands, Carl Cook having been a very fast driver in the Misano round, ending up having, I think, a few penalties which caused some issues and then ended up causing Carl Cook to finish further down the grid than he would have wanted. Now we see Train Boy 2005 come through the last chicane. Flipping the timing curve. He's not going to be close enough to the back of that Porsche ahead to gain any slipstream, I don't think, as he comes across the line. Is it going to improve? It is not enough to get past Arnold with a 146.7. Almost a full tenth behind Arnold. And now back to the current championship leader, Pierre Moreno. Three minutes left in qualifying. Magash still leads the pro class with Moreno, Cassetta, Knappen, Bingersman, Bungus and Shobland making up the top 6. The AM class currently being led by Arnold, followed by Hutchins, Train Boy 2005, Ultra 9 and Yusuf, and Rowe and Sorby making up the top 6 or 7 in that. Because we're now on board with Pierre Moreno. Like he's tyre heating for another lap. As Carl Cook has just jumped up into 12th, was 13th, but Greep for Penguin Virtuos jumps up into 2nd place. With a 144.8, jumping Pierre Moreno there only by a tenth, however. 2 tenths to be made up between Greep and Magash. As around the final corner comes Pierre Moreno, getting 4 wheels over the white line there, but I'm not sure it's going to delete it as he comes through. But 150.1, however, I think that was more of a setting the car up lap there. Taking some curb as he heads into turn 1. Riding on board on the bonnet cam at this minute in time. Comes up through turn 3 on the run now. Short straight up to turn 4. I'm sure we're going to see quite a lot of drivers, 2, maybe 3 wide up here on the first few laps. Hutchings also having taken the lead of the AM grid as it currently stands, now up to 16th overall. With that lap of a 146.4. One thing to be of note as well for the viewers is drivers who did not set a lap time for the class qualification have been put into the pro class. As it currently stands, stewards will be reviewing this at the end of the race to see how their pace matched up to the drivers around them, as we see Trainboy 2005 going straight there at turn 11 to allow Pierre Moreno through. Having spoken to him earlier, Trainboy 2005 seeming quite... what's the word? He seemed quite ambitious. That's probably not the word I'm looking for there, but he seems quite confident. That's the word. He seems quite confident in his ability to maybe come across and take the win in the AM class today. Ultrainen having gone fastest now in the AM class, going up to P12 overall. With a 145.9. As the session has now ended, the drivers who were out on track will be able to set their lap here, and drivers who are on an out lap. They're a bit unlucky, but they will not be able to finish their lap. Some drivers who crossed the finish line before the attack went on to zero will be able to set one more lap, so the starting grid could still jump about. Some drivers still out on track. As you now see Vangelis going around the final corner. Across the line, improving one position ahead of Trifonov with 148.9. Here is Eat Magash, currently provisional pole. Of Ed Cassetta is also on track, so it could be taken away from him. As it stands, Ed Cassetta sets his final lap there, moves up to second place, so it's a McLaren 1-2 as it currently stands. Ed Cassetta setting a 144.772. Almost a full tenth off of Eat Magash, who now comes across the start-finish line. Is he going to improve his time? No, he does not improve his time. So here is your quality standings. Eat Magash comes through in first place, followed by Ed Cassetta, Jurek Greep, Pierre Moreno, Richard Anderson, Brian Knappen, Monticelli in 7th, Carl Cook in 8th, Osmond 9th, Terry Liggins 10th, Bingus McBongus 11th, Joblin 12th, Vigers 13th, Usheisen 14th, 15th is Ultrainen, 16th is Alacia, 17th is Rathband, 18th is Barteldu, 19th is Nolan. Also 19th is Mike Hutchkins, 20th is Burning, 21st is Arnold, 22nd is Sorby, 23rd is Trainboy 2005, 24th is Yusuf, 25th Rowe, followed by Luxury, Hoover, Will Treasure, Winters, Gottlieb, Vangelis, Trifonov and Long round off the grid. On the helicam, they will have one formation lap in single file to get the tyres and the brakes heated up, and then it's a full hour of racing between all the drivers, same track, 2 classes, 2 championships. Who will win both of them? So a minute now until the formation lap starts. 1 hour. The race starting at 7:05, 7:06. The race will be finishing at around 8 AM in game time. We see the scary forward-facing sprites in the grandstand. I can see the same guy about 6 times there. So, the class leaders being Magash, leading the AM class, Ultrainen leading the, Magash leading the Pro class, Ultrainen leading the AM class. Second place in AM being Hutchkins. Between Ultrainen and Hutchkins is Alesio, Rathband and Barteldu, so 3 cars to make up between Hutchins and the lead of AM. AM standings, the top 5 for AM being Ultrainen, Hutchkins, Arnold, Sorby and Trainboy 2005. Drivers as well who didn't input a lap time for the classification have automatically been placed into the Pro category. As you can see, the drivers are now just starting to head off on their formation lap. Being quite hazy as it currently stands. Definitely a situation where lights aren't required. However, some drivers might prefer to have their lights on as it currently stands. Who's now riding on with Kyle Cook for Bologna. A bit of a rear wing there to see the driver behind moving about to get some heat into the tyres. So today's race, Pierre Moreno, number 922 Spectre Racing Machine, has 3 cars to make up to make it 2 for 2 in the series so far, having won the race at Misano. Magash leading the pack there, as we can see that jet black McLaren 720S, followed by Cassetta, the blue number 60, followed by Greep, the Penguin Butchos 42 Audi. Now head through turn 10. I think we could see Barteldu there going a bit wide. Here is Greep for Penguin Virtuos. I'm going to say Penguin Virtuos for now. Having lost P3 on the formation lap to Pierre Moreno, however Moreno allowing him to have it back, as the drivers will now get into double file for the race start. Magash will be controlling the pace here as they get ready to go underway. And we are away here for the Racing Pals GT3 2021 season, round 2 here at Barcelona. As we run down to turn 1, Greep having made the move on Magash down the straight. Is he going to be defending the inside? Yes, he is. As we see many more cars in the background as well. There is a crash into turn 1. I see Trainboy 2005 caught up in that. Oh, we are going to get a replay or ACC has crashed. I'm hoping it's a replay. Yes, it is. I thought ACC had crashed there for a minute. So here we are, the race start. We're currently on with Trainboy 2005. Here's the blue and grey McLaren 720S in focus. He heads in. Baldo moves to the outside, and he just got... Oh, Hutchins as well gets collected there. The Ferrari down that you can see. Can't see the number on it. Having, I think, misjudged his braking mark. Giving Trainboy 2005 a bit of a hit up the rear. Not sure if there's going to be lasting damage. However, definitely one to look out for, as we're now on with Ed Cassetta, currently in third place. Fourth place, sorry. As Richard Anderson has headed up into second place, getting past Magash. Cassetta is now under attack from Pierre Moreno. As they head now down the start-finish straight, Moreno is looking, Ed Cassetta also looking to defend. Ed being quite a force in the Skip Barber Championship. Pierre Moreno looking on the inside. Also looks like Knappen has a look behind Moreno as well, but it doesn't come to fruition. Moreno doesn't make the move, but also holds his position against Knappen. As we're now with Yusuf. I think, yeah, Yusuf was the driver. I think that outguessed his braking mark against Trainboy 2005. I think the driver at the cause of the lap 1 turn 1 crash, only Trainboy 2005 and Hutchins caught up in that. Hutchins currently in the lead of the AM Championship. Trainboy 2005 very much fancying his chances today at today's race. We'll see. You can also see Viger's behind as well. The other Penguin Virtuos car, number 22 machine, in the Pro category, currently behind Yusuf. Oh, as we get a nice bonnet view there. Yusuf defending the inside against Vigers, but Vigers getting the outside line and ultimately the faster exit. Some scratches on the side of that number 22 machine as well. Not sure if he got caught up maybe in a bit of side-on-side contact. As you see in the background there, Rowe in the green AMG, the number 63 machine, also making a move on Yusuf as well into turn 10. Very good move. He's now actually fighting on the rear of Vigers. As we're back with Ed Cassetta against Pierre Moreno. And having it looks like a bit of a bigger gap between himself and Pierre this time. We come across the start lap 3, now on the run down to turn 1. You can see ahead, Greep has pulled a nice gap between himself and Anderson, as we now get the extended tower on as well, a 1.5 second gap between the two. For people who don't know the extended tower yet, you have the name, the car manufacturer, the number, which also now indicates the class. White for Pro, red for AM. The pit stop requirement, all drivers having to make one pit stop today's race. The laps, and also then the gap between them and the next car. As we're now with Pierre Moreno for Spectre Racing. You can see him trying to chase down the rear of Ed Cassetta, the resident alien in the Skip Barber Championship. I believe draws to a close next week. Join me then next week on Sunday for the Skip Barber Championship. I believe the final round. However, we are now here for GT3 racing. As we're now with Bingus McBongus chasing on the back of Carl Cook. You can also see Osman behind, and also Liggins as well. 3 attempts between the two drivers. We head through the final chicane. You can also see Alacia there, having a look through the chicane at Liggins. Very ballsy manoeuvre going through the chicane too wide. Because it also looks like someone maybe took a bit of grass off track there. Sorby having moved up to first place in the AM category. I think maybe Ultra Iron having a bit of a problem. He was dropped down quite a few positions. I wonder if we can get a replay on that. Of course we can. We're going to have a look. ACC's replay. Oh yeah, you can see a big crash there into the chicane. Ultra Iron maybe going off, then getting hit by someone else. Doesn't seem to have started moving off yet. I think maybe actually retiring. Doesn't look to have yet. Once again, my ACC has decided to crash, so we will quickly run into a short intermission. I don't know what happened there, it just wanted to hang a little bit, so we'll quickly jump back onto ACC and back into the server. Not sure why it's done that. Hoping the spectator password should work today. As we are now back. Why isn't ACC outputting? There we go, as we are now back with ACC. I'm afraid to say my FPS counter will now be visible. There we go, as now we are fully back with ACC. Not 100% sure what happened there. Now as we're on with Chablon, currently in 18th place, having made move on burning. The sun is now coming up. You can see the orange tinge starting to take over the raceway. Was our number 98 machine. Not sure who that is. It is Automated Luxury. The AM Club. The AM Club's currently being led by Sorby. The Pro Class currently being led by Jurek Griep, still holding first place on number 42, Penguin Virtual's car. Anderson having moved down now to 4th. Ed Cassetta moving up to 3rd, and Magash having dropped down to 2nd off of the start. As now Griep runs up to turn 10. Magash behind, maybe biding his time for the moment. It's still a 4-car battle for the lead as it currently stands. 5-car. Now, actually, Cassetta being in the middle of it all. With Magash ahead, Anderson behind. Behind Anderson being Moreno, and at the head of Magash being Griep, the race leader. 2 more cars having started to come and join as well. Monselli and Knappen. Well, you can see them just a bit more behind. Monselli having achieved a drive-through penalty. Not sure what for. Possibly track limits. Cassetta currently in P4 apparently. I think that was wrong. He is still in P3. Now, up through turn 4 they go. Magash still chasing Griep. It looks like the Aston Martin might be a bit stronger through the first sector, especially the corners, but then it all seems to balance out again. Anderson still being ahead of Moreno in the background as well, which you can see that 60 kilos maybe making a bit more of a difference than what drivers might have guessed to begin with. Moreno now on the inside of Anderson as they head up through the long uphill right-hander. Side by side, Moreno having made the move on Anderson. Now switching back to the outside, switching back to the inside. Anderson still looking. Possibly moving up the inside. Up the inside goes Anderson. Has to go very deep into turn 10. Maybe losing out more than what he would have gained there. Yep, does look like it. He's dropped back behind Knappen as well. The number 40 Aston Martin machine. He went for the move. But maybe it just wasn't meant to be, as he then had to take it wide into the bit of track advertisement that there is on turn 10. Monticelli coming through for his drive-through penalty. Remember, it is a drive-through, so he isn't allowed to stop. So now with Pierre Moreno, currently P3. Sorry, P4 on the penalty, not on the podium, but just on the brink of it. He has to get past our current third step podium finisher, Ed Cassetta. You can see how close Magash is getting his car to Jurek Griep. Up the inside, he has a look. They go side by side as they now start to head downhill. It looks like Magash has got ahead, but they're still side by side. Getting very close. Surprised they haven't bumped yet. They're going over the undulations. Jurek Griep getting the inside line. Now back ahead as they run up to turn 10. Magash, they're very much harassing Griep through sector 2. Maybe again looking into sector 3. But they have to look out. More battling might slow them down too much, and it might actually allow Ed Cassetta and Pierre Moreno to catch up as well. Ed Cassetta only being about half a second behind Magash. Pierre Moreno being about 8 tenths behind Ed Cassetta there, as it looks like Magash gets a little bit unsettled out of the chicane through the final corner. 720S versus 720S as they run down the straight. You can see Magash looking to the inside. Ed Cassetta staying very much in the slipstream of the number 147 car. As they head now to turn 1, Ed Cassetta going to the outside. This gives Magash the inside line through the first bit of turn 1. However, it then gives Ed Cassetta the inside line through turn 2. But Magash stays ahead and gets fully ahead up into turn 3. Ed Cassetta still very close to the rear of Magash. Magash very much defending the apexes of the corners there, we can see. Now currently on bonnet cam with Ed Cassetta as we switch back to outside. He doesn't go for a look down the inside of turn 6, however. Current top 3 from both classes: Greep, Magash and Cassetta in the Pro class. Sorby, Rowe and Hutchins in the AM class. Number 42, 147, 60 and also the number 23, 63 and 15 machines. And also seeing now Magash ahead once again, very much on the bumper of Greet. Three cars. Pierre Moreno also just about leading Knappen. Half a second of these cars still being very close as Moreno almost goes to defend the outside but thinks against it. Knappen maybe getting a bit too close for comfort on the rear of the number 922 Spectre Racing machine. Now here we are with Pierre Moreno. The Knappen close on the bumper of the Porsche. Now with Bingus McBongus currently in 14th, chasing down Alacia. Alacia also chasing down Rowe. The gap between Rowe and Sorby almost being just about 6 seconds there. Because now we're back. Ed Cassetta currently in 3rd place. The little timing bit that I get saying he's in the lead, however we can quite clearly see that that is not the case as it currently stands. As they head through the final chicane, Aston Martin being chased by two 720Ss, a Porsche and a Aston Martin, as you see Pierre Moreno there going over the track limits curve on the outside, on the exit of the chicane. The Audi very much sparking over the crest of the hill on the run to turn 1, 2 and 3. Battle for the lead having been going on since the start of the race. Currently on lap 11. As well as now we're with Alacia, who's still chasing the rear of Rowe. Monticelli in the background as well in the grey and blue Lexus, you can see. There may be a move onto the inside as Alacia looks inside. Maybe looking to get the move done down the straight. Goes side by side with Rowe. Currently 2nd place in the AM standings. On the inside through turn 1. Manages to make the move. This leaves Monticelli now to get past Rowe. They head into turn 3. Rowe not having Monticelli side by side, so he gets his choice of line. Goes wide, however, which allows Monticelli to look up the inside. Also, Bingus McBongus looking up the inside on the run now to turn 4. almost coming together. The two cars getting very close between McVongus and Rowe there. Rowe now going to have the inside onto turn 5. He's battling the pro cars. However, keep in mind he has a gap to make up between himself and the current class leader, Storby. Ahead as we still see Ed Cassetta facing off against Eat Magash. "39 minutes left, just under, as we now head to start lap 12. The top 3 in the classes is still Greeb, Magash and Cassetta for the Pro, Sorby, Rowe and Hutchins for the AM. Now we're with Jacob Alacia for JKR Motorsports, chasing the back of Terry Liggins, number 808. Green, purple and chrome Porsche. He also has Monticelli behind in the blue and grey Lexus Turbo 2. As Liggins dives into the pit lane, looks to be for his stop. 38 minutes remaining, maybe looking to undercut a little bit here as they now run down the start finish straight. Alacia going to defend the inside, maybe on the start trying to squeeze onto the outside against Monticelli. They're going too wide into turn 1 there. Monticelli going to have a faster line through turn 2, maybe a bit of contact. It looked to be that Alacia got a bit loose. Monticelli also having slowed down, so I think there could have been some side-by-side contact there. Now head through both turn 3 and 4. We're now with Burning, being chased by Arnold, the Pro number 6 car in the AM number 44 machine. Hutchins Arnold currently being 6th in the AM standings, with Hoover behind as well. Ed Cassetta still in 3rd place, still chasing down the rear of Eat Magash. The top 5 having been very close together. You can also see Liggins exiting the pits there. He will be under blue flag. He will be a lap down on the lead lap vehicles. Now Monticelli chasing Jacob Alacia for the 2nd lap in a row. This is for P11. 3.5 tenths separate the the Lamborghini from the Lexus. They run down to turn 1. Monticelli doesn't have a look. Alacia also keeping his normal line through turn 1. We get a bit of onboard there from Monticelli. Currently being told to jump up to Ed Cassetta. Oh, we're with Richard Anderson, who's side by side with Terry Liggins. Yeah, Moreno having moved up to 2nd place. Maybe some contact up ahead. Knappen and Cassetta moving. Knappen moving up to 3rd. Cassetta moving down to 4th. Magash moving up to the lead. Where's Greep? Greep moving down into 9th. Let's see if we can get a replay on that. Greep moving down to 9th. What happened with Jurek Greep? Hey, Jurek Greep sideways. Almost collects Kyle Cook there by the look of it as well. That might have been, knowing that is Kyle Cook. What happened to Greep? The replay not quite getting a view of what happened. But Greep was race leader, now having moved down, I think, into 9th. It only stands. Not sure if there's any damage on that Audi. None that I can see from the camera angles that we get. That's clearly going to be one that Greep wouldn't have wanted to happen. It was in the lead with a bit of a gap. Maybe had a collision with Magash. I'm not sure. Creep now in the pits. I think there might be some damage. He might be coming in for a repair. However, the pit stop window is open. The top three for the Pro class now being Magash, Moreno and Knappen. Sorby, Rowan, Trainboy 2005. Currently the top three for the AM class. Here's Will Treasure for QP, number 500. Audi R8. Yeah, drivers are now starting to pit. Greep also having a stop-go, 30-second stop-go penalty. He was comfortably leading, but now it seems that maybe a bad omen's been put on him, having gone from the lead down to 21st, and now having a 30-second stop-go penalty as well. Pierre Moreno currently in second place, still defending from Knappen. This has been going on for quite a few laps. Also see ahead, Magash is on the back of Alacia as well. Some cars haven't come out of the pits, now becoming lap traffic. However, this might change once the lead lap vehicles start to come into the pit lane. Yeah, Moreno, 2.5 seconds behind Magash, with lap traffic in the mix as well. Only about 3.3 tenths ahead of Knappen too. Knappen maybe will be able to start attacking Moreno, not having a ballast on his car, where Moreno has 60 kilos. You can also see Vigas ahead of Moreno, one of the cars that pitted. Moreno goes up the back of Vigas, almost gets sideways, also sort of blocks the track against Ed Cassetta, moves into the pit lane. Definite damage on the front there. What happened there was he just went up the up the back of Vigas. Went round. Knappen also having pitted, having gotten ahead of Pierre Moreno due to that, but both drivers coming into the pits. This should mean, however, that Knappen will get out just ahead of Moreno, dependent on damage. Because we're now with Connor Sorby for Open Road Racing, the number 7 car. As he comes into the pit lane with Monticelli following behind. Current leader of the AM class. Some drivers in AM having taken their pit stops already. Trainboy 2005 being the driver on the table that we can see who has taken a pit stop. Connor Sorby comes into the pits. Here we see Will Treasure for QP. Going past Trifonov there, maybe lap traffic. Treasure having still needing to take a pit stop, however. Some drivers, you can see there, the green box is appearing. Here's Gottlieb, Vangeloui behind him there in the black and red McLaren. Gottlieb coming into the pit lane. Vangeloui was staying out. Anderson in the background as well, having pitted but getting the stop go 32nd. Here is Eat Magash, current race leader. Ed Cassetta, 4.8 seconds behind. Kyle Cook currently in P3. However, Magash, Cassetta, Cook and Chevron have still not taken their pit stops. See if Magash comes into pits. You can see Alacia behind as well. Magash stays out for another lap. We'll see if Cassetta comes in. I think in the background we could see Cassetta come into the pit lane there. I did see a blue 720S. Yes, Cassetta has come into the pits. Will Kyle Cook follow suit? Cassetta may be able to get the undercut against Magash. Cook also following. What about Shublin Luxury? Whereas, yes, now we can see Magash on the rear of Bingus McBongus, who has just come out of the pits, I believe. Past Alacia in the background as well. One One lap car. A pit stop ahead of Magash as well. So fresher rubber. Should mean maybe some more speed. However, it could mean that Alacia battles again with Magash to unlap himself and ends up actually breaking his tyres. So there's a car off ahead as well. Doesn't look like it's sideways. Looks like it was just someone going a bit wide. That is the number... I think that's the number 21 machine. Not 100% sure. It's an Aston Martin. It's not one of the Penguin Virtuos cars. I think it's a 21 car. Can't be a number 21 car, and that's Vangelu. Dublin and Luxury having come into the pits. Ed Cassetta having pitted a lap before Magash. Could Cassetta get ahead of Magash here with an undercut? An interesting one. Is Magash staying out for another lap? No, Magash dips into the pit lane. Now it's with Ed Cassetta, who is almost a full lap down. Pierre Moreno also being ahead as well. Currently not too far ahead of Cassetta. Having jumped Knappen in the pit lane as well, getting up to a 1.668 gap. Magash might have actually perfectly timed and orchestrated his pit stop here. Here is Magash currently in the pit lane. See, it's the driver in 30th. Behind, that's Long. So there's Long in the background who had, I think, maybe a bit of an off track. Magash still in the pit lane. Moreno will be catching up, however. See Moreno come through the final few corners. Magash has now exited the pit lane as well. I'm very close. You can see Moreno in the background coming across the start-finish line. Magash getting out of the speed limit zone. Looks like it might... He's just getting out ahead of Moreno there. So Magash, having pulled off his pit stop without losing a position whatsoever. Very good pit stop for Magash. As now we're with Yusuf for Rogue Racing. Chasing down Brad Hoover. Greep still with that 30-second stop-go penalty. Now taking it, it seems. Hoover looking like he has a bit of damage to the front of his car. But as I say, Hoove will stay on the move. You see them now coming through the final few corners. Yusuf looking up the inside. They make contact. Hoove staying on the track limits side of the marker. Maybe Yusuf going a bit too hot into that move there. Though keeping the position open for Yusuf. The current leaders for your classes are Magash in the lead for the Pro class, Sorby in the lead for the AM class. Now with Mike Hutchings, currently third place in the AM class, currently leading the AM Championship as well, chasing down the rear of Dave Bartledew in that Texan flag Mercedes AMG. "25 minutes to go now, over halfway through the race." I think all of the drivers now having taken their pit stops as well, so now it's just a case of speed, speed, speed. Get as much ground made up as you can before the start-finish line. Here is Ed Magash. You can see how close Pierre Moreno is to the rear of his car. Magash definitely will be feeling some pressure with Moreno that close. They almost bump through the quick left and right. Turn 7 and 8, I think that is. Now run down towards turn 10 and 11. Moreno looking up the outside. Magash defending the inside. Magash has been very good at defending today as well. Very stonewall defences from Eat Magash. Keeping it on the apexes as much as possible to defend the faster line from the car behind. He could walk away with a win here. However, he's got quite a task, I think, at hand now to keep Pierre Moreno at bay. Moreno being a very fast driver in this series. As we get the bonnet cam for Pierre Moreno. The gap being just over half a second as well between Moreno and Knappen. We'll see as they run through the first corner. How is this going to work? Where is the Porsche stronger? Where is the McLaren stronger? Where is the Aston Martin stronger than the Porsche? You can see Knappen having gotten very close to the rear of Moreno. Looking up the inside. Moreno defending. Managing to stay ahead of Knappen for now, but Knappen very close to the rear of the Spectre Racing Porsche. Heading up towards turn 10. One straight here. It looked like the Porsche gets a bit more straight line speed against the McLaren 720S, but I could be wrong. As Moreno does not look to go for a move yet, but you can see he's very close to the rear of Eat Magash as we get the spoiler camera there, as I like to call it. Now run down. 4 more corners before start finish line, depending on how you count corners. Some people count chicanes as 2, which I am included in that. Some people count chicanes as 1. The top 3 in both categories is Magash, Moreno and Knappen for Pro. Sorby, Rowe and Hutchins for AM. Ill with Eat Magash. You can also see ahead, it looks like Greek ahead there was race leader very comfortably as well, having been defending from Eat Magash and Pierre Moreno, as well as Ed Cassetta for the first half of the race, but then having, I think, a spin, maybe a collision up into turn 4 here, and it looks like maybe that might have spelled the end for his race. However, this is only round 2. 4 more rounds after this until the end of the series. As now we're following Pierre Moreno. Still half a second separating him from Magash as it currently stands. Almost half a second separating him from Knappen as well. Top 3 still being very close together. As now we're with Bingus McBongus on the back of Terry Liggins. Last thing I want to miss is a battle for the lead. However, Bingus McBongus has been behind Liggins now for a few laps, maybe anxious and wanting to make the move on Liggins here for 12th place overall. Will be, I think, 11th place for the pro standings. Bingus McBongus very much catching up to the rear of Liggins there. 2 tenths just over between the two drivers as they head through turn 10 and 11 and 12. as I said before, Turn 10 having been reprofiled in real life. It'll be interesting to see if that makes it into ACC as just an overall update or maybe a new 2021 track. Is now down the start finish straight. Heads Liggins and Fingers McBongus to the outside. Goes McBongus. Too wide now as they run down past the end of the pit wall. Will they be too wide through the first corner? Liggins getting just ahead, but Fingers McBongus getting the inside through turn 1. Liggins getting the inside through turn 2. McBongus getting the inside through turn 3. Liggins giving plenty of room there for the McLaren 720S. Looks like now it's going to be a drag race towards turn 4. One that looks like Liggins has won, but not quite, as McBongus still holds the inside line. Liggins will now get the inside line, however. Now it's another drag race until the next corner, which as it currently stands, Liggins will get the inside line. McBongus now the full car behind Liggins. Now with Dave Bartlett, who's just got past Rowe. And we're back with Fingers McBongus against Terry Liggins. They head now through the last few corners. 6/10 separating the two at the last timing line. Now head through the final corner, onto the straight again. Fingers McBongus looking like he will get the draft against Terry Liggins. But not quite managing to get fully ahead as it currently stands. Magash now leading 1.7 seconds ahead of Moreno. Knappen trailing 1.8 seconds behind Moreno as well. 1.1 now between Magash and Moreno. 2.2 between Knappen and Moreno. Still with Fingers McBongus against Terry Liggins. No drivers looking to have fallen foul of the quick left-right that Liggins and McBongus have just gone through. It's been quite a difficult corner because, as I said, you have to first make the car left and then right, which can then quite quickly unsettle it. With 16 minutes more like remaining in today's race. Magash leads Moreno from Knappen as your top 3 in the Pro category. Thorby leading Hutchins from Rowe as your top 3 in the AM category. You can see Thorby just ahead of Liggins in that black and blue portion now as Fingers McBongus is having a look again down the end of the pit wall. They go too wide down starting straight. Fingers McBongus having a bit more of a car length ahead, but they go too wide through the first corner. Liggins having to go quite deep. So it looks like Fingers McBongus has made the move. Here is Trainboy 2005. He is chasing the rear of Rowe. Who Rowe is also chasing down Hutchins as well. Here we are now watching from the rear of Mike Hutchins' car. This is about for second place in AM. Hutchins goes deep. Is Rowe going to make the move up the inside? They go too wide. But still side by side now as they head into the left-hander. Hutchins is going to get the inside, gets ahead of Rowe. So is Rowe going to be able to cut back for a drag race? Rowe goes off! Oh, Trainboy 2005 to get through as well. As Richard Anderson goes quite deep. You can see there's some quite substantial damage to the front of Rowe's car there. It looked like the rear just got away from him, and then he went off into the nearest tyre barrier. So now your top three for the AM is Sorby, Hutchins, and Trainboy 2005. Trainboy 2005 also gets the back quite loose. That's going to allow Hutchins to escape. Rowe's also now catching up. Maybe some suspension damage. Maybe it's all just aerodynamic. Not 100% sure. Is Rowe going to be diving into the pit lane to repair? No, he stays out as Anderson goes up the inside round the final corner. They make contact. Anderson goes round. Rowe goes off the track. Anderson having gone up the inside. And now with Pierre Moreno just about a second behind Magash. This is the battle for the lead, however. You can also see Cassetto has appeared again behind Knappen. Now with Terry Liggins, currently 13th. Now with Yusuf, who is chasing down the back of Rowe. Rowe having dropped from 3rd place in AM. Now down to 4th. Looking like there could be some suspension damage, or at least some performance inhibiting damage to that AMG. Just defending the outside, Yusuf. Oh, what happened there? We got moved away from that quite quickly. Yusuf also under attack from Anderson behind. Anderson now looking to go up the inside. Too wide as they now head into the chicane. Last thing you want to do here is get across the front of your opponent's car, like that. Yusuf staying ahead as Rowe heads into the pit lane as well. So maybe the damage, maybe he took one lap to try and feel out how the damage was, but clearly that was enough as Rowe has made his way into the pit lane. It'll be quite a substantial repair time by the look of it. Anderson goes up the inside of Yusuf, makes a move quite easily there. Now we're back with Magash. But not for long as we switch to Sorby, who has Terry Liggins behind, the number 23 car and the number 808. Pro versus AM. Sorby currently in the lead of the AM standings. Liggins will want to be catching up to the rear of Bingus McBungus, however, in that orange and blue McLaren 720S ahead that you can just see exiting the chicane there. As now with Ed Cassetto fighting on the rear of Brian Knappen. And also you see in the background, I think that's Arnold behind as well. Arnold currently being 8th in the AM standings. That's very close to the rear of Knappen. This is for 3rd place. So one of these two drivers will be finishing on the podiums. There's under 10 minutes to go. 9.5 minutes left on the race time. I did say there would be battling from beginning to end, and that has been the case here. Also see ahead, I think that's Lexus of Gottlieb as well. Knappen maybe going to be able to overtake down the straight, which he is. Though Ed Cassetta might be left out down the straight. Maybe even having to overtake Gottlieb into turn 1. No, it doesn't seem to be the case as Gottlieb allows both drivers through down the straight. Gottlieb now against Arnold. Arnold goes up the inside into turn 2. Making very... Wow, he took the full advantage of that blue flag there. Made a move up the inside of Gottlieb. He saw the opportunity with a blue flag and he took it with both hands. Very good skill to have, is to be able to read the flags and see maybe where there could be the ability to make a move on the driver you're chasing. As Brad Hoover now gets overtaken. Knappen putting himself and Brad Hoover between himself and Ed Cassetta. Ed Cassetta now also getting past Hoover, who is on the move. Thankfully in the correct direction. Now head up to turn 10. Cassetta still chasing on the back of Brian Knappen. Very hungry for that third place, but it also Knappen very stoically defending against Cassetta with traffic in the mix as well. Magash also still leads the pro class. Now head down the final corner. Could Cassetta come now up into turn 1 and make his move on Knappen? Number 98 machine as well of Luxury being lapped there. Will Cassetta get past before the first corner? Yes, he will. Luxury now moving onto the racing line. Hoove managing to stay behind of Automated Luxury there. And still Ed Cassetta is very much attacking the rear of Knappen's car. And you can see how many tyre marks are appearing there towards the apex and the mid. Cassetta missing the apex, looking like he had to take a bit of evasive action, and it looked as if he was going in a bit too hot. Top 3, Magash, Moreno and Knappen for the Pro class. Sorby, Hutchins and Trainboy 2005 for the AM class. Trainboy 2005, maybe he'll be able in the last 6 minutes to make a move on Hutchins. The gap between the two only being just under a second. Tigers also haven't gotten a drive-through penalty. That's a penalty for both of the Penguin Virtuosos cars today. Clearly something that as a team they're not going to have wanted. See Yusuf there being lapped by Magash, current race leader. Moreno maybe having to overtake him through a corner. Not the most ideal of situations. Lapping a car, you always want to hope that you can make it into the straights to get past a lapped car, not have to do it through a corner, as you're going to lose more time that way. As Assetto almost has a look up the inside, thinks against it. Knappen might have his card marked here by Ed Cassetta as they head through turn 10. Cassetta still in 4th but very close to the rear of that Aston Martin. And now with Train Boy 2005. We're back now with Cassetta against Knappen. You can also see Yusuf will have to yield 4 blue flags through the chicane. Probably not the best of moments for Knappen there, as that allows Ed Cassetta to scrunch the gap up onto the start-finish straight a lot more than he had been previous laps. Yusuf moving over to the side to respect the blue flags. Now we'll run down, you can hear the curbs under the tyres of Ed Cassetta's car. The gap being almost 3.5 tenths between the two vehicles. This is the battle for P3. 3 minutes, 20 seconds left on the clock, so about 2, maybe 3 laps remaining. All depends on when Eat Magash comes across the start-finish line. So I'm going to open up the floor to the chat. Who do you think has been a standout driver in today's race? A lot of lap traffic there. Number 12, Aston Martin. And also see Trifonov as well ahead. Ed Cassetta having to go round a long way because of that Aston Martin. Now boxed in by the 2 cars. Number 12 machine of Ushaizen, currently down in 18th. Cassetta maybe losing more time than what Knappen had with the lap traffic. Train Boy 2005 having moved up to 2nd place in the AM standings. We're now heading with 1.5 minutes left in the race. Cassetta still chasing Knappen. Current race leader is Eat Magash. Knappen being a standout driver today from Zorat. Any full-on reason as to why? Look at me doing this crowd engagement thing. Here is our current race leader, Eat Magash. It looks like there's going to be one more lap after this. You can also see in the background, Ed Cassetta still chasing down the back of Knappen. Hutchins having picked up a drive-through penalty as well. And that is going to put Train Boy 2005 solidly in 2nd place for AM tonight. Sorby having absolutely dominated the class in 11th place overall. 3 cars between himself and Train Boy 2005. And across the line now for the final time, for the second to last time, sorry, comes our current race leader, Eat Magash. Guillermo Moreno, 2 seconds between himself and Magash. Possibly going to be a last place move for the lead. Ed Cassetta having got past Knappen, but maybe Knappen will start to look back. Remember, 1 lap to go. Now we're getting the rear view of Ed Cassetta's car. You can see the spoiler, you can see the Aston Martin very close to the rear there. Probably about 3 tenths as they head through turn 4. Yusuf has also moved up to 3rd place in the AM standings. Hutchins getting that late drive-through penalty. Clearly not what he would have wanted. having been running second place in the AM. We're now currently having the championship lead of AM as well, but maybe that might be under attack by Sorby and Trainboy 2005. Now through turn 10 for the final time comes Cassetta and Knappen. Here is the current race leader, maybe soon to be race winner, Eat Magash, as he comes through the chicane for the final time, through the last corner. And across the line comes Eat Magash to take the win of the Racing Powers GT3 2021 season round 2 at Barcelona. Pierre Moreno coming through first, Cassetta coming through third, Knappen in fourth. Cook now coming through with Hoover as well. Many cars are finishing up and down the grid. Here is the current AM leader, Connor Sorby. You can see behind Liggins is still on the rear of that car. We will be having some driver interviews at the end of the race. Hopefully first to third in Pro and first to third in AM. So remember, if there's any questions that the crowd and the viewers want to ask, put them in the chat and I will pose them to the drivers. Across the line comes Connor Sorby for Open Road Racing to take the win of the AM class. Liggins coming through, having overtaken to get 11th place overall. There's a few cars pull off to the side of the road. There's one of the Penguin Virtuos cars. Good. Actually, can I get an in-pit lane view? Beautiful view. On Bingus McBongus' car, as we see the other Penguin Virtuos car in Trainboy 2005 come through. As well, what a race that was today. What a race. So, I'll go through the current finishers. Or not, as it's all moved over. So, we will now hopefully wait for some drivers to move in to the channel. Get some interviews going for the drivers. Remember, any questions that want to be asked of the drivers that do come in, put them in the chat. Please also remember, if you haven't followed on Twitch already, drop a follow. My YouTube channel is the same as my Twitch as well. Make sure to subscribe there with the notification things on, as I will be posting all the race replays from this series and also all the other series that I commentate for Racing Pals. Will be over on my YouTube channel, typically only an hour or two after the end of the race. Just waiting on the open